The vanishing of Elias Mercer, a case that shouldn't exist. The last message. I first heard about Elias Mercer when I was a rookie journalist covering small-town crime. He wasn't a famous missing person like the big headline cases, but the circumstances of his disappearance always felt wrong, like the world itself had tried to erase him. Elias was a 32-year-old teacher from a quiet town in Oregon. He was engaged, had no history of mental illness, no enemies, and no reason to disappear. Yet, on the night of June 3, 2018, he left a single voicemail for his fiancée Emily at 2:37 a.m., saying only, "I made a mistake. They know now. I need to..." The call cut off. Emily tried calling back, but Elias's phone was off. He never came home. By morning, she reported him missing, and that's when things got bizarre. His car was found exactly where it had been parked at Rustwood Diner, a small roadside restaurant he often visited after work. Surveillance footage showed Elias arriving at 10:12 p.m., ordering coffee and sitting alone at a booth. The next 30 minutes were normal, until at 10:42 p.m., when he suddenly looked up as if someone had said his name. No one was there. Elias stood up, left cash on the table, and walked out the door. He wasn't seen again. Police found his car unlocked with the keys inside. His wallet was untouched, but his phone was gone. Tracking data showed one final location ping, a secluded logging road 30 miles away. The road led into dense, untouched forest. There were no houses, no businesses, and no reason for Elias to be there. And then, the case took its first impossible turn. The search for Elias Mercer began immediately, but there was no logical explanation for where he had gone. Police traced his last phone signal to an isolated logging road in the Willamette National Forest. When the search teams arrived, they found his footprints in the dirt, leading from the roadside straight into the forest. But here's where things got bizarre. The footprints continued for about half a mile, weaving through the thick trees. Then, suddenly, they stopped. There was no sign of struggle, no drag marks, no additional footprints leading away. It was as if Elias had just vanished into thin air. The tracking dogs reacted strangely. They followed the scent to the exact point where the footprints ended, then whimpered, turned in circles, and refused to go further. Rescue teams expanded their search, using helicopters, thermal imaging, and drones. Nothing. No body, no clothing, no signs of animal activity. Elias had ceased to exist. His fiancée, Emily, begged the police to dig deeper. Maybe someone had taken him. Maybe he had been chased. But by who and why? The only clue left behind was his abandoned car. A forensic sweep showed no fingerprints except Elias's own. His personal belongings, wallet, ID, and even his engagement ring were all in place. Then, 3 days later, something terrifying happened. Emily received a text from Elias' phone. It simply read, "I told you they know." Emily took the text message to the police, but they found nothing useful. Elias's phone was turned off and untraceable. His bank accounts remained untouched. No one had seen or heard from him since that night. Then, exactly 1 week later, something chilling surfaced. A security camera at a gas station 20 miles away picked up a blurry figure walking barefoot across the parking lot at 3:13 a.m. The man was wearing dark pants and a white dress shirt, the same outfit Elias had on the night he vanished. His face looked hollow, eyes wide with fear, as if he knew he was being watched. But what sent shivers down everyone's spine was the way he stared directly into the camera. His mouth moved. He was saying something, but there was no audio. And then, in the very corner of the screen, something shifted. A tall, shadowy figure loomed in the darkness, just beyond the reach of the gas station lights. It wasn't moving like a person. Its limbs were too long, its presence too unnatural. As soon as Elias seemed to notice it, his body tensed. He turned around and ran. He disappeared off screen. And after that, No one ever saw him again. The gas station footage was the last known sighting of Elias Mercer. But the deeper the investigation went, the more unexplainable things became. The security camera logs from that night showed something that shouldn't have been possible. Exactly 11 minutes of footage were missing. The gas station's CCTV system ran on an automatic digital recorder. It logged every second, never missing a frame. But when investigators pulled the file from that night, the timeline jumped from 3:13 a.m. to 3:24 a.m., as if those 11 minutes had never existed. No power outage, no tampering, just gone. The gas station attendant, an older man named Harold Fisk, was the only witness on duty that night. When asked if he remembered seeing Elias, his response was terrifyingly vague. That man, he came in, I think, but I can't remember if I talked to him or if I just saw him. Harold seemed disturbed by his own memory. When he tried to recall those missing 11 minutes, his hands started shaking, his nose bled. He mumbled something under his breath. Not supposed to remember, not supposed to see. Then he collapsed. Paramedics arrived and said he had suffered a sudden seizure. He survived, but after waking up, he had no memory of the interview. The police never released the gas station footage to the public. But somehow, one frame from the missing 11 minutes leaked online. It showed Elias inside the gas station, standing near the freezer section. His eyes were wide, his mouth was open in a silent scream. And behind him, just barely visible in the reflection of the glass doors, was something standing there, watching. The leaked gas station image spread across forums like wildfire. People analyzed every pixel, trying to decipher what stood behind Elias. Some claimed it was just a trick of the light, an illusion created by the reflection. But others saw something else. A tall, distorted figure, its limbs too long, its head tilted unnaturally. The shape was humanoid, but wrong. Investigators tried to suppress the leak, but Elias Mercer's case became an urban legend overnight. Then something even stranger happened. A local journalist, Marcus Vale, started investigating the case. He tracked down a retired detective who had worked Elias's disappearance. The detective was reluctant at first, but eventually he gave Marcus something no one had seen before. A police report from 1992 detailing an identical disappearance. The name in the report? Graham Clements. Like Elias, Graham was last seen at a roadside diner. Like Elias, his footprints led into the woods and suddenly stopped. And just like Elias, Graham's last recorded words were a cryptic warning. They know now. Marcus dug deeper. He found at least 6 other cases spanning decades, all with the same eerie details. People who vanished without a trace. Their last known moments captured on footage that made no sense. Then, the investigation took a terrifying turn. Marcus received an anonymous email with the subject line, "Stop looking." Attached was a single image. It was a surveillance screenshot, one he'd never seen before. The image showed himself sitting in his office staring at his laptop. The timestamp was from 3 minutes ago. But the most disturbing detail? Behind him, just barely visible in the shadows, stood the same distorted figure. Marcus shut down his investigation immediately. He deleted his files, burned his notes, and left town without a word. Elias Mercer's case remains open, classified as an unsolved disappearance. But those who know the truth don't ask questions anymore, because some mysteries aren't meant to be solved.